What if the only witness to a crime was an 8-year-old black girl with nothing but her crayons and her courage? Hey fam, I hope this video finds you and your loved ones safe, healthy, and wrapped in love today. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a revelation. It's about how one little girl dared to uncover a truth that adults refuse to see. It's about abuse behind closed doors, a mother silenced, and a child who refused to stay silent. Let's talk about Sona. She's only 8, but what she carries will shake your soul. This is her journey, a journey of courage, of heartbreak, and a fight for justice that begins with a drawing. Sona sat cross-legged on the living room floor. Her small, dark hands carefully clutched a blue-colored pencil. She was drawing a picture of a house, her house, where every room once echoed with laughter and love. From the kitchen came the warm, familiar hum of her mother, Hannah, singing an old country tune. The scent of freshly baked cookies drifted into the room, wrapping around Sona like a soft blanket. "Sweetheart, come taste this frosting." Hannah's voice rang out, rich, bright, and full of life. "Tell me if it's just right." Sona scrambled to her feet, crayons forgotten on the carpet. She darted into the kitchen, where Hannah stood with flour on her apron and joy in her eyes. Sona dipped her finger into the bowl and smiled wide. "Perfect, Mom," she said with a giggle. Hannah kissed her forehead. "That's because I added something special this time," she teased. "A little extra love." This was Sona's world, safe, warm, held together by her mother's unshakable love. Ever since Sona's father had died in a car crash, Hannah had fought tooth and nail to rebuild that warmth. Sona didn't understand grief, not really, but she knew that everything that made home feel like home came from Hannah. And then one day, the energy shifted, because Victor arrived. Victor stepped into their lives like a page out of a fairy tale. Polished shoes, Colgate smile, smooth-talking charm. He brought flowers for Hannah, little dolls and candies for Sona. He said all the right things. He moved like he belonged. But Sona felt it. That something, that quiet, invisible wrongness that tugged at her belly. "Sweetheart, this is Victor," Hannah said, introducing him with glowing eyes. "He's going to help take care of us." At first, everything seemed perfect. Victor was kind, helpful, always polite. He smiled often, but it never quite touched his eyes. Sona noticed. Kids always notice. One evening, she sat on the floor coloring. Victor walked in, surveying the room. His eyes landed on her scattered crayons. "Don't leave your pencils lying around like that, Sona," he said. His tone was calm, but it cut like broken glass. She froze, quickly gathered the crayons with trembling hands. It wasn't what he said, it was how he said it. Like he wasn't asking, he was ordering. Days passed, then weeks. Victor slowly began changing things. At first it was small, what they ate, what they watched on TV, when Sona should go to bed. Next came the bigger things. He took over the budget. He commented on how much sugar Hannah used. He controlled when and how they went out. Sona noticed something else. Victor rarely looked at her like a child. His glances were sharp, impatient, like she was an inconvenience. But Hannah, she didn't see it. Or maybe she didn't want to. "He's just trying to help us, baby," she'd say, smiling, though her hands would nervously twist the dish towel as she spoke. One morning, Sona reached for her favorite maple syrup at breakfast. Victor's hand snapped out, snatching it away. "That's enough," he said coldly. Hannah gave a soft, uneasy smile. "Victor just wants us to be healthy, sweetheart." But Sona saw her mother's fingers fidgeting beneath the table. The way her smile didn't match her eyes. Then one night, something shifted. Sona accidentally knocked over a glass of juice. It shattered on the floor. Victor's voice dropped. "Do you ever stop making a mess?" he snapped. It was low, controlled, but it burned. Hannah rushed to clean it up. "It's fine, Victor. It's just juice." But her voice cracked, and Sona saw it, the slump in her shoulders, the fading light in her eyes. The woman who used to dance while cooking now barely hummed. The warmth that once filled their home had dimmed, and in its place, a shadow. One quiet morning at school, Sona was called to the principal's office. As she walked down the hallway, her small hands clutched the straps of her backpack. Something felt off, the kind of silence that makes your skin tingle. Her gut told her this wasn't just a routine check-in. Inside the office, Victor was already there. He stood by the window, his shoulders squared, his hands shoved into his coat pockets. His face was unreadable. Sona paused in the doorway. "Come in, sweetheart," the principal said gently, her voice soft and careful. "There's been an accident." Sona's heart dropped. She turned toward Victor, eyes wide, voice shaken. "Where's my mom?" Victor turned slowly, flat eyes, cold tone. "She's gone." Sona blinked, confused. "Gone? What do you mean, gone where?" Victor didn't flinch. "She's dead. It's over. Let's go." The words hit her like a slap. She stumbled back, her voice cracked and desperate. No, that's not true. She was coming to pick me up. Victor's jaw tensed. "Crying won't change anything," he snapped. "Get your things. We're leaving." That night, the house didn't feel like home. The walls felt colder. The kitchen didn't smell like cookies anymore. There was no music, no laughter, no humming voice to greet her, just the weight of silence and Victor's presence. Sona sat in her room, clutching her teddy bear to her chest, eyes locked on the door, waiting for her mom to walk in and tell her this was all a big mistake. But no one came. A few days later, something strange happened. Victor was on the phone. He thought he was alone. Sona crept down the hallway, barefoot, silent. She hid by the wall just outside the living room, her tiny body trembling. Victor's voice was low, but clear. "She never listened. I told her to get that car checked," he said with a bitter laugh. "But it's done now. Things are finally falling into place." Sona's breath caught in her throat. Her knees wobbled. He kept talking. "At least with the insurance money coming through, we can move on." Insurance money. The phrase hit her like ice. Sona couldn't breathe, couldn't think. But one thing was suddenly, heartbreakingly clear. Her mother's death wasn't an accident. The man who had wormed his way into their lives, the man her mother had trusted, had been hiding something dangerous. That night, Sona sat alone in her room. The silence was different now, heavier, thicker. She reached for the bookshelf, not to read, just to touch something familiar. Her fingers brushed against a dusty old novel. As she pulled it down, a stack of papers tumbled to the floor. And then something caught her eye, a folded letter, stuck between the pages. Curious, she picked it up. Her heart stopped when she saw the handwriting. It was her mother's. She unfolded the letter with shaking hands. The words felt like her mother's voice had reached back through time. "Sona, my love, if you're reading this, it means something has happened to me. I need you to listen carefully. I don't trust Victor. He's involved in something dangerous. I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm trying to find them. If anything happens to me, go to Grandma Rosa. She will protect you. She'll know what to do. Please remember, you are stronger than you think, and I will always love you." Sona sat frozen, the letter crumpling slightly in her hands. Her mom had been scared. Her mom had known, and she had tried to leave her a message, a warning, a plea. Tears blurred Sona's vision, but she didn't let them fall, not now, not yet. She gently folded the letter and tucked it deep under a stack of drawings in her desk. Victor couldn't know. That night, she whispered into the silence, "I'll find out what happened, Mom. I'll go to Grandma Rosa. I won't let him win." For the first time since her world shattered, Sona felt something, not fear, resolve. Sona couldn't sleep. Not because the room was too dark, but because Victor's voice was darker. She lay in bed, hugging her teddy bear, the letter from her mother echoing in her mind. "You are stronger than you think." Outside her room, she heard footsteps, slow, deliberate pacing, Victor, and then voices. She sat up. Her door was cracked just slightly, letting in a sliver of hallway light. She crept toward it, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. Victor's voice drifted through the air, low, venomous. She wouldn't listen. I warned her to leave it alone, but she just had to dig deeper. Sona's breath caught. Was he talking about her mother? There was a pause. Then, "It's done now. The payout will come through soon. It'll cover everything." Sona's stomach twisted. Payout, insurance, her mother's death. He laughed, not the kind of laugh that comes from joy, but the kind that comes from cruelty. She thought she was so smart, but she didn't see this coming. Sona's knees nearly buckled. Her hands clung to the doorframe. He did it. He planned everything. And then, silence. No more talking, just footsteps, getting closer, coming down the hallway. Sona's heart froze. She darted back into bed, pulled the blanket to her chin, and shut her eyes tight, just as the door creaked open. Victor's shadow stretched across the room. "Sona," he said slowly, his voice unnaturally calm. "Are you asleep?" She didn't move, didn't blink. Her teddy bear was her only shield. He stood there for a few seconds, then muttered, and slowly shut the door. His footsteps faded. Only then did Sona exhale, a sharp, shaky breath that escaped like a secret. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but this time, they weren't just from fear. They were from rage. Later that night, Sona sat by her desk, staring at the drawer where her mother's letter was hidden. Victor's words echoed again. "No one's taken this from me." She knew she had no time left. It was now or never. She reached for her backpack and stuffed the letter and her drawings inside, slipped on her coat, looked at the window, her only way out. She climbed up onto the chair and unlatched the lock. Cold night air rushed in. The drop to the ground wasn't far, but it felt like a cliff. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. "You are stronger than you think." And then, footsteps again, faster, closer. The doorknob turned. Victor's voice slashed through the stillness. "What are you doing?" Sona spun around. Victor stood in the doorway, eyes locked on the open window, the backpack, the coat. "Trying to run away?" His lips curled into a sneer. "You think you're clever, don't you?" Sona's voice trembled. I was just getting some air." Victor stepped closer. "Don't lie to me, Sona." His eyes flicked to her backpack. "What's in there?" He lunged. She backed up against the window. "I told you," he growled. "No one's going to believe you. You're just a scared little girl." Sona clutched her teddy bear tighter, her anchor. Then, through shaking lips, she said, "You're wrong. Someone will believe me." Victor's face darkened. He reached for her bag, but Sona didn't wait. She turned, grabbed the edge of the window, and leapt. The fall jolted through her legs. Her knees hit the grass, her ankle twisted painfully, but she got up. She ran. Backpack clutched to her chest. Victor's voice screamed behind her, "Sona, get back here." She didn't look back. She ran through the cold night, feet pounding against pavement, breath ragged in her throat. Not until she reached Grandma Rosa's white picket fence did she stop. She banged on the door. "Grandma, Grandma, open up." The porch light flicked on. Rosa flung the door open. "Sona, what's going on?" Sona collapsed into her arms, gasping for breath. "He knows," she choked. "He saw the drawings. He wouldn't let me leave." Rosa held her tight, eyes flashing with protective fire. "We have to go to the police," Sona said through sobs. "We have to show them the letter, the drawings, everything." Rosa nodded, already grabbing her keys. "You're right, baby. We're going now. before he can do anything else. The drive to the police station was tense. Rosa kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting Victor's car to appear behind them. Her grip on the steering wheel was tight. Sona sat in the passenger seat, clutching her backpack like it was a life jacket. When they arrived, Rosa didn't hesitate. She marched to the front desk and asked to speak to someone in charge. The officer on duty ushered them into a quiet room. Sona unzipped her bag and handed him the letter, along with her carefully drawn pictures. As he read the note from Hannah, her final plea for protection, his expression changed. Then he looked at the drawings. A damaged car, worn tires, Victor near the garage, the wreckage after the crash. The officer looked up, eyes serious. "We're going to investigate this immediately," he said. "Thank you for coming forward." For the first time in weeks, Sona felt it. Hope. The trial came weeks later, but for Sona, it felt like years. She sat beside Rosa in the courtroom, her small hand wrapped tightly around her grandmother's. Across the room, Victor sat stiff in a navy suit, his jaw clenched, his expression unreadable, except for the glint of arrogance in his eyes. The prosecutor stood and addressed the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is more than an accident case. It's a case about deception and a brave little girl who risked everything to bring the truth to light." The words echoed through the courtroom. Then they called Sona to the stand. She stood. Her small figure was dwarfed by the tall witness chair and the imposing walls around her. But her steps didn't falter. Not this time. She clutched her teddy bear as she was sworn in. The judge's voice was kind. "Take your time, sweetheart. Just tell us what you know." Sona's voice trembled, but it was clear. "I heard Victor talking on the phone," she said. "He said the payout would come soon, that everything was going to plan." The room grew silent. The prosecutor stepped forward. "Do you remember anything else?" Sona nodded. Her grip on the teddy bear tightened. "I drew what I remember, the car, the garage, the night before the crash." Her drawings were handed to the jury, the twisted wreck, the garage door left open, Victor standing next to Hannah's car. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Then came the letter. The prosecutor unfolded it and read aloud. "If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident. Protect Sona. I don't trust Victor." Rosa wiped away tears. Victor squirmed. His attorney stood. "Objection. These are just the frightened memories of a child. They're unreliable at best. These drawings, this imagination, it's not evidence." But Sona didn't back down. Her voice rose with quiet strength. "I know what I heard. I know what I saw, and my mom wouldn't want me to stay quiet." The jury leaned in. The room fell still. Then the prosecutor called their expert witness, a certified mechanic. He explained the damage on the car, the brakes. "It wasn't wear and tear," he said. "It was deliberate tampering." Victor's face changed, his jaw clenched. He leaned toward his attorney, whispering furiously. The illusion was cracking. The prosecutor's final words were short, but devastating. "This case is about truth, justice for Hannah, and the unimaginable strength of her daughter who refused to be silenced." The jury deliberated. Sona and Rosa waited outside the courtroom. Minutes felt like hours. When the jury returned, everyone stood. The room was tense. The foreman rose. "On the charge of tampering with the brakes, we find the defendant guilty." Rosa pulled Sona into her arms. Tears flowed freely. Tears of grief, relief, justice. Victor was handcuffed. As he passed Sona, he glared, but Rosa stepped in front of her. "Not anymore," she said, her voice like steel. Outside, the sun was shining. For the first time in months, the air felt light again. "You were so brave," Rosa whispered. Sona looked up. Her voice was soft, but full of fire. "She always said the truth matters. I just wanted to make her proud." The courthouse doors creaked open, and Sona stepped outside. The sunlight hit her face gently. like a hand brushing her cheek. For the first time in months, she didn't feel like she was running. She felt still. Rosa wrapped her arm around her. "You did it, sweetheart," she whispered. "It's over now." Sona nodded. Her eyes were tired, but inside, something glowed. It wasn't joy, not yet, but it was the beginning of peace. The drive home was quiet, but not heavy. Rosa's house, with its flower pots on the porch and the smell of fresh cookies in the air, welcomed Sona like a long-lost friend. That evening, they sat at the kitchen table. Rosa handed Sona a mug of hot cocoa. "We've been through a lot," she said, "but from here on, we take it one day at a time." Sona traced the edge of her mug, her voice barely audible. "I still hear his voice sometimes," she whispered. "It's like he's still there." Rosa reached across the table and took her hand. "He's gone now, and if those memories come back, we'll face them together. You're not alone anymore." In the weeks that followed, Sona began to heal. Rosa enrolled her in therapy. It wasn't easy. At first, Sona barely spoke, but slowly, she found her voice again. She returned to school. When Mr. Alex, her art teacher, saw her walk in, he knelt down to her level and smiled. "We've missed you, Sona. The art room hasn't been the same without you." She hesitated to pick up a pencil again, but Mr. Alex gently placed it in her hand. "Whatever you feel," he said, "let it speak through color." And she did. Her first drawing was of a field of wildflowers, her mother's favorite place. When she showed it to Mr. Alex, his voice caught in his throat. "This is beautiful, Sona. Your heart tells stories even words can't." At home, Rosa turned the spare bedroom into a sanctuary. Lavender walls, fairy lights, books, art supplies, photos of Sona and her mother, smiling, spinning, living. One night, Rosa knocked on Sona's door with a small wooden box. "I found this while cleaning the attic," she said. Inside were old photos, Hannah laughing, holding baby Sona, standing in a field of flowers. At the bottom of the box, a delicate silver bracelet with a tiny heart charm. "It was your mom's," Rosa said. "She wore it every day, and I think she'd want you to have it now." Sona fastened it to her wrist. Her hands trembled. "Thank you, Grandma." As the months passed, Sona didn't just heal. She grew. One afternoon, she walked into the kitchen with purpose in her step. "I want to tell my story," she said. Rosa raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Through my art," Sona replied. "I want to help other kids like me so they know they're not alone." Rosa smiled, a proud, tearful smile. "That's a beautiful idea, sweetheart, and I'll help you however I can." Together, they created a small gallery at the local community center. Paintings, writings, Sona's journey from fear to fire, from silence to voice. At the center was one painting, Hannah standing in a field of wildflowers, arms open, face radiant. Below it, a plaque read, "In memory of my mom. Her love gave me the courage to find my voice." Opening night, the room was packed. Teachers, neighbors, families. A young boy tugged his mother's sleeve and whispered, "I want to draw like her." A woman cried quietly, clutching her daughter's hand. "Your story gives me hope," she told Sona. Sona smiled softly, not with pride, but with purpose. Rosa leaned down and whispered in her ear, "You've come so far, sweetheart. Your mom would be so proud." Sona looked up, her voice calm, steady. "We've come so far, Grandma, and this is just the beginning. Who was right, what was wrong, and what we learn." So who was right? Sona was, not just because she spoke up, but because she chose courage when fear would have been easier. Victor was wrong, not just for what he did, but for thinking a child's voice wouldn't matter. And Hannah? She was the mother who gave everything, even her life, to protect her child. Never underestimate the quiet ones, the small ones, the ones who color outside the lines and listen when the world's too loud. Sometimes they're carrying the truth that the rest of us refuse to see. And when you empower them, they don't just survive, they rise, they speak, they lead. If this story moved you, what part of Sona's journey touched you the most? Give this video a like, share it with someone who needs courage right now, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Black Women. Because here we tell the stories the world tried to bury, and together we rise one truth at a time. We'll see you in the next one.